Peter Parker is a regular high school student in New York City. As a child, his parents, Richard and Mary Parker, left him with his Uncle Ben and Aunt May before mysteriously disappearing. Now a teenager, Peter struggles with typical high school problems: bullying, awkwardness, and a crush on Gwen Stacy, a smart and confident girl in his class. One day, while searching for answers about his parents, Peter finds a briefcase that belonged to his father. Inside, he discovers documents linking Richard Parker to Oscorp, a powerful scientific corporation. He sneaks into Oscorp, where he meets Dr. Curt Connors, a scientist who worked with his father. Connors, who lost his right arm, is researching cross-species genetics, hoping to use lizard DNA to regrow limbs. While exploring, Peter accidentally wanders into a restricted lab full of genetically modified spiders. One of them bites him, and soon after, he starts experiencing strange changes: enhanced strength, agility, and the ability to stick to walls. At first, Peter struggles to control his new powers. He accidentally rips a sink off the wall and crushes a basketball hoop at school. However, he soon learns to master his abilities, designing web shooters using Oscorp's biocable technology. One night, Peter gets into an argument with Uncle Ben and storms out. While out, he encounters a thief robbing a store. Peter lets him escape out of spite, only to later discover that the same thief kills Uncle Ben during a struggle. Devastated, Peter blames himself and vows to find the killer. Using his new powers, Peter starts hunting criminals across the city. He creates a red and blue suit, inspired by wrestling gear, and adopts the name Spider-Man. He becomes famous for stopping petty crimes, though the police, led by Gwen's father, Captain George Stacy, view him as a vigilante and a threat. Meanwhile, Dr. Connors is pressured by Oscorp's shady businessman Rajit Ratha to test his cross-species formula on human subjects. Desperate to regrow his arm, Connors injects himself with the serum. At first it works. His arm regenerates. But the effects are temporary. Soon he mutates into a monstrous reptilian creature, the Lizard. Connors, now fully transformed, loses his humanity and goes on a rampage, attacking people on a bridge. Spider-Man intervenes, saving civilians, including a young boy trapped in a car. Peter quickly realizes that Connors is behind the attacks. Peter tries to warn Captain Stacy, but Stacy sees Spider-Man as a criminal. Meanwhile, Connors becomes obsessed with fixing humanity by spreading his lizard serum across the city, believing it will make people stronger. Connors plans to release his formula using Oscorp's tower, turning all of New York into lizard-like creatures. Peter rushes to stop him, but is injured when Captain Stacy and the police try to arrest him. After unmasking himself to Captain Stacy, Peter convinces him that he's the only one who can stop Connors. With help from Gwen, who creates an antidote at Oscorp, Peter races against time. The Lizard attacks him atop Oscorp Tower, and they engage in a brutal fight. The Lizard destroys Peter's web shooters, gaining the upper hand. Captain Stacy arrives just in time, shooting Connors and helping Peter apply the antidote. The cure works, reverting Connors back to human form. However, Captain Stacy is fatally wounded by the Lizard. As he dies, he makes Peter promise to stay away from Gwen, to keep her safe. Peter reluctantly agrees. Peter, heartbroken, keeps his promise and distances himself from Gwen, though he still loves her. At school, Gwen senses his pain, but doesn't understand why he's avoiding her. In the final scene, Peter hints that he might not keep his promise after all. In a mid-credits scene, Connors, now in prison, is confronted by a shadowy figure who asks if Peter knows the truth about his father. Connors warns him to leave Peter alone, teasing further mysteries about Peter's parents. Peter Parker continues balancing his life as Spider-Man and a normal teenager in New York City. He fights crime daily, keeping the city safe, but struggles with his promise to Captain Stacy to stay away from Gwen Stacy for her own protection. Despite his love for her, he is haunted by visions of Captain Stacy, making him question their relationship. Meanwhile, Harry Osborn, Peter's childhood friend, returns to New York after years away. He reunites with his father, Norman Osborn, the dying CEO of Oscorp. Norman reveals that their family suffers from a genetic disease and that Harry will eventually die from it. Before dying, Norman leaves Harry his research, hinting at a potential cure hidden in Oscorp. Elsewhere, Max Dillon, a lonely and overlooked Oscorp employee, idolizes Spider-Man after the hero saves him from an accident. One day, while fixing an electrical fault at Oscorp, Max falls into a tank of genetically modified electric eels. The accident mutates him, turning his body into a living generator of electricity. Now known as Electro, Max wanders the city, struggling to control his new powers. When he arrives in Times Square, he accidentally causes a blackout. The police confront him, but he panics. Spider-Man tries to calm him down, but when the crowd starts cheering for Spider-Man instead of him, Max feels betrayed and attacks. After a massive battle, Spider-Man stops Electro, and the police take him to Ravencroft, a high-security lab where scientists experiment on him. Meanwhile, Harry's condition worsens. While searching for a cure, he discovers that Oscorp's secret projects include Richard Parker's spider experiments. Believing Spider-Man's blood could heal him, Harry contacts Peter, unaware that his friend is Spider-Man. Peter refuses to give him his blood, fearing unpredictable side effects. Furious, Harry turns to Felicia Hardy, his assistant, who informs him about Electro's existence at Ravencroft. Desperate, Harry frees Electro, convincing him to help take down Spider-Man in exchange for access to the city's power grid. Electro agrees, seeking revenge. Harry then breaks into Oscorp and injects himself with spider venom, hoping to cure himself. However, the serum mutates him horribly, accelerating his disease and transforming him into the Green Goblin. Now, completely unhinged, he seeks revenge on Peter. Electro takes control of the city's power grid, plunging New York into darkness. Spider-Man teams up with Gwen, who insists on helping him. As they arrive at the power station, a massive battle unfolds. Spider-Man outsmarts Electro by overloading the grid, causing a power surge that defeats him. Just as Peter and Gwen celebrate, Harry arrives as the Green Goblin. Seeing Peter in the Spider-Man suit, he immediately realizes his friend is the hero who refused to help him. Enraged, he kidnaps Gwen and flies her to the top of a clock tower, forcing Spider-Man into a final battle. They fight fiercely, but Gwen is thrown from the tower. Peter dives to save her, shooting a web just in time. However, the sudden stop causes Gwen's head to snap back violently, and she dies in Peter's arms. Devastated, Peter blames himself, breaking down as Harry laughs before passing out from his injuries. After Gwen's funeral, Peter falls into deep depression, abandoning his role as Spider-Man. New York suffers without its hero, and crime rises. Meanwhile, Harry, now imprisoned at Ravencroft, meets a mysterious man known as Mr. Fears, who proposes forming a team of villains, starting with a mechanical rhino suit for a criminal named Alexei Sitsevich. As chaos erupts in the city, a young boy inspired by Spider-Man steps up to face Rhino, wearing a small Spider-Man costume. At the last moment, Peter regains his strength, dons the suit, and returns to battle, symbolizing hope for New York.